second for the media source alive, and we are right back in. It's JDG 3-0, 16 minutes into the game. Looking pretty happy in this one.
So we will get ourselves into this one. Let's have a quick look at the drafts. LNG, of course, coming off of a loss to FDX, and JDG having some ups and downs themselves. LNG, if they win this one, I think they do, again, re-solidify themselves as arguably best team in the LPL right now, beating BLG and top esports. If they also beat JDG, that would be the full trifecta of top 3 teams they've beaten from Spring.
Well, coming straight into a replay, and it looks like it was a contest over the Herald that went JDG's way on the Carthus. The champion has fallen away from the meta a little bit, and it looks like LNG thought they had a moment here.
Yeah, they had the better terrain. Zucker jumping forwards, and what the heck happened in this fight?
Carthus got strangle-thorned.
Yeah, Carthus got strangle-thorned and realizes that Zyra is still very much a champion on this patch.
And they go over to try and contest for the eye, and LNG don't want to give it on over. Scout, when looking, the health bars are so low, but Sheer with a flash into the ultimate means Scout forced to run away as Yagao flashes to bring down the Lucian.
So now suddenly, JDG, they have themselves that bot lane out of turret. That's their first turret of the game. You can see that Yagao is ahead in the Corki versus Lucian matchup. Lucian is picked into Corki because it is a good matchup. It is not always a counter matchup. Angel, of course, played very, very well in that last series, but Yagao, he's really felt at home on the AD carry mid. So I think that's been one of the big things for JDG in summer, is the fact that Yagao has been great at the meta champions right now. Ruler, I believe, using the new, is that the new MF skin, or is that the Animus squad?
Yeah, I think it's the Admiral Misfortune. Have a look in a second.
The Battle Admiral, or Battle Bunny Admiral, look, it's something like that. All I know is that when you're on Swarm and you're on the beachhead where she helps you as an AI, there is like a 90% chance that MF fires her ult in the wrong freaking direction, and it's really annoying.
And she laughs while doing it. It's great. Carthus ulting for some first strike gold. The nerfs mean nothing. It's also Malignance on the Carthus as well to be able to do that on repeat.
And the thing is, this is happening now. First strike has been nerfed. The fact that this wasn't happening, we saw so much Dark Harvest instead of this before, really annoys me. Malignance scales up through the game very, very well. I don't mind seeing, I actually preferred in a lot of ways Leandries into Malignance, because Leandries is the better first item, but then the Malignance allows you to kind of power scale off of that. But going towards Malignance gives you a load of first strike gold early.
Does at that, and Zucker will be allowed to get a hold of that tier 1. Towards the Gromp, we look briefly as Kanavi is invading on the other side to trade away some of those camps. The Carthus is still king of farming. 156 farm in 18 minutes is pretty obscene, let's be real, guys. Doing a great job there of being a bit of a nightmare. Misfortune building towards that second item. Caulfield's Warhammer alongside that.
Yes, so that'll be the Essence Reaver. We have seen a lot more Infinity Edge than the Essence Reaver recently, so I'm kind of surprised to see that one.
I'm guessing it's because it doesn't feel like there's going to be able to sit there and ultimate that freely, whereas an auto Q would be kind of nice, and the mana back is kind of a valuable option.
I agree with that, but Eye Edge also affects your ultimate because that can crit, and that affects that too, and also the fact that if you have Lucian dashing at you, because you can't really damage you necessarily from out your range a lot of time, just having an auto Q, if you get a double crit with the double up as well, it's effectively Lucian's gone. So I much prefer the Infinity Edge, because particularly in this game there's no hyper tank. I mean, the Leona is the closest you get to it. I think Infinity Edge is really good at just bursting through squishies.
I think the problem is the Jhin and the Leona mean you're not going to be able to ult that freely, right? It means you're just going to get jumped on every time you try to do it. So I'm not sure whether playing into the ult value with the Infetch is the right call. Or at least I can see why the Essence Reaver is a thought process.
So what I'm saying is that actually it's also good value on the immediate auto reset, like the auto Q as well. All the same, Ruler's he's sitting pretty wave clearing as it stands, and if he's a wave clear machine, getting the extra mana can help with that one. So LNG, they're playing back into their own jungle, missing the hook and finding the wall instead. Gala getting a good follow up there.
Unfortunate forced to flash because he can't get to the blast cone because the wolf was put down, and a clutch play from LNG to force missing to burn the additional summoner.
And you can see the value of the Jhin there too. Now there are a lot of conversations you can have about Jhin in this game. I don't mind Jhin onto the Nautilus, because Nautilus never gets in range to ult you and is very unlikely to hook you. So you can play outside of Nautilus's range, and that means that you can get a lot of damage onto him. I don't like Jhin into stuff like the Cassante, because Cassante does not care for your measly damage. Teleport now to the bot side of the map. Zucker overpush, doesn't have that Mega Gnar. Missing going over, might be able to get himself in range for an ult.
Could be in a spot of bother, I think it's fair to say. Zucker backsteps the W, but will still get all outed into that depth charge. Means the USS Zucker is sunk momentarily.
I should have built another hole in that one.
Breaker?
I don't know. JDG this point should. Well, they have the Iceborne Gauntlet. That's about close to an iceberg as you can get. This one, get a Frozen Heart as well. Why don't you? That's an ult coming in. Carthus ult too. Here comes Jhin.
And Jhin can start to throw down a curtain call from miles and miles and miles away. Teleport as well. JDG be forced to be in a pretty tricky position. Actually, don't pull the trigger as hard as you might expect. So teleport burned. And not too huge amount of avail, honestly.
I would have thought that a curtain call would be available for a play like that. I think it's off a cooldown. Look, those icons can sometimes be a bit tricky. I think it is off there. Scout dashing forward. Is he okay there? Yes, he is. I was wondering if someone had not. Yeah, just gonna force it out of Corky. I was wondering if Scout would have get picked off by someone else coming back in from JDG if they'd not finished those recalls. Scout, of course, been on much better form than he was in spring. FPX was a weird series for LNG. They should have realistically even won that series too, but in that game too, you know, walking into the brand choke point, that is how you lose a game of League of Legends, folks. You walk into brand ultimates. Of course, not to be seen here in the games today. That's a big overstay in JDG mid lane.
Ruler now in a dangerous position. Yugao tagged up with the second shot of that curtain call as well. And Yugao being slow with no flash means he dies. Now the Mega Gnar in the back line could prove problematic as Ruler is brought down for a double kill for Scout. Look at the time, everybody. It's 22 minutes, and you lost 3 members. Baron is on the cards for LNG.
LNG in the last few minutes have tried multiple times to try and force JDG into a punish overstay state. They try it in bot lane, and they try and teleport in. It doesn't quite work for them. They get the flash out of Yugao. They punish it a minute later. They get themselves that Baron. That Baron will open up the side lanes for them, open up the ability for them to push JDG back into their side of the map, which they haven't necessarily been seeing as much.
Scout immediately with the wave, and a Baron buff donated to him will swiftly claim a hold of this tier 2, you would imagine. She is coming on up. And Nautilus for missing around the corner. I don't think with way around it'll be that easy to look for anything more. The Wall of Pain comes down and sheer. Eats a bit of a chunk there, of course, with only the Essence Reaver. Not that much armor penetration right now. Back towards the mid lane, that tier 1 is claimed, and LNG in the blink of an eye claim a load of kills, a load of structures, and are right back in control of this game.
Yeah, Ruler staying in the mid lane, Yugao teleporting in as well. I think they thought they'd get this for free, but Hung managed to slip off a vision. Great teleport coming through from Zucker as well, who was just caught out in that side lane, comes in, punishes that no flash, being on Yugao for Scout, removing that in the side lane too. And at the perfect possible time, LNG, they have just beaten BLG and top esports. If they beat JDG here, they will have taken down all of our top teams from spring in terms of that top 3. And LNG giving a good game to JDG, get themselves a good gold lead. JDG now going to head down towards this dragon, but they are still against that Baron buff. By taking time out of their day to go towards this dragon, it allows LNG to push out side lanes, and that could prove a problem later, because they are not wave clearing against the Baron buff. LNG going to push in towards top lane, going to push in towards the other side of the map, and maybe get themselves an advantage.
The moment I was talking about no armor penetration, Scout's gone back and brought up a hold. Lord Dominic's regard. The burn onto missing is pretty brutal at this point. Can't quite secure the kill as Kanavi was also chunked about half HP.
Surprised that Hung didn't just fly over the wall and look for a Zenith Blade. Had the Ignite, could have very easily been a kill. While all this is happening, LNG managed to push out that top lane. They don't capitalize on that very much. So it's a Dragon over to JDG and not much else.
Yeah, they get themselves a second Dragon there. Scarlet sat in the mid lane. 0, 0, and 3 is on, of course, that Jhin with the static shift off for a little bit more wave clear, because Jin's wave clear early on is a little bit weird. You need the bouncy grenade and the deadly flourish to do a lot of work, and eventually you get to the point where it's a bit better than you think it is. You're safe, but wave clear is somewhat limited on cooldowns.
A little bit, but he's just always safe to farm from range as well with that W in the E. And one of the big things about this Jhin is that he can play from outside of that MF Nautilus combo.
There comes the deadly flourish into the backline. Away goes Kanavi trying to stay alive, but still gets sniped on out. It's Zucker that secures the kill regardless. And now Scout gets to hop over the wall, missing. Chunked to about a third HP as well. And JDG on the ropes and on the run.
And because JDG ended up spending so much time taking that dragon, and it meant that the waves were set up for this. LNG could go to the lane, say, okay, you take that dragon. What happens to the fight afterwards? You're not going to have waves in the right place. You're going to be stuck in your own side. Using bullet times now to wave clear instead of looking for a game-changing fight. JDG, that one overstay in mid lane has cost them oh so dearly. And LNG, showing that they are not just the slow and passive team anymore. This team can very much punish you with their superior macro. I think their use of globals, their use of sidelines, the use of Zucker and Scout and Hung walking around different patches of Fog of War and walking out of different places from pushed in sidelines has been so impactful. LNG, they're coming out of the turtle shell just a little.
Just that touch, and you can see it in the item discrepancies right now. The Leandries plus that Void Crystal, the Blighting Jewel, that's the name. It's not like built into the Void staff. I was like, what is the purple gem called again? I should find that one. Blighting Jewel, good name. But either way, that's in there for the cartridges. About 1,000 gold, if that, off completing the Void staff, and that will be tricky again to mitigate because they've had to build towards mostly armor. It's not a huge amount dealing with the raw burst from that Qualthus at this point. Last Whispered inventory for the Jhin as well, trying to make sure it has some ability to chunk out anybody who does build towards things at least like steel caps.
So now LNG, they have really mastered the map. I think this is a great time. Well, there might be a teleport in. Oh, come on! I want to talk about how LNG. I want to talk about LNG as a team.
Do it now. You've got 30 seconds max.
So so they're not going to teleport in. The spectator threw me for 6 there. Yeah. So LNG, they have been a team which have been the most tower-centric team in the LPL. They are the team which goes into sidelines and they innovate different ways to take sideline turrets. They were the team that were using Nash's Tooth Azir in sidelines. They were the team that were using the 6 Grubs and Tristana Corki to teleport into their other solo laner's lane to get towers easily as well. That is the way they played the game. That hid the fact that they weren't very good at team fighting. They weren't necessarily very good at playing through their skirmishes and the team fights, but they get so much gold from towers that it didn't matter because they could hit you with the wallets. Now I think they have used that as a cornerstone of their identity to then build up to now being better about team fights, better about skirmishes, and better about punishing enemy teams when they start playing around these pushing lanes as well. LNG of last year had a very different identity. It was all about mid-jungle. It was all about getting control of those side lanes to then let you into the team fights as well, off of that mid-jungle combination of Scout and Tarzan. By losing Tarzan, breaking apart that fellowship, LNG had to reinvent themselves. I think they finally got to that point, and I'm so glad that they are now into the conversation again for best team in the LPL, because when this team is playing at its best, no other team in the LPL plays quite like them. They play a different style. It might not always be the best style, but it is different, and it means that we have more variety. And when they play games like this, it can be very, very important to see exactly how teams learn to play against that skill set.
That will have to be a bit of a question, because with LNG in control of the Rift, JDG are showing options. They were the ones in control of this game, bluntly. They were looking really, really good, and that one overstep in mid lane has cost them so much. 20 seconds until everything is actually that spot out.
No flash,
leaves
no flash.
Konami in a dangerous position. Trying to body block for him. The Solar Flare buys time alongside that Zhonya's, but it's only the Seekers, so doesn't have that available.
And that means he won't have Seekers for a potential Baron fight after this point. Ruler tanks up one of the shots. Konami, though, being punished. JDG are a team on the other side. We talked about how LNG, they formed their identity around their tower-taking style. Scout in side lanes, getting gold out of outer turrets. The way that JDG have formed their style is through Konami. It is so much about Konami. Konami and missing, Konami and Nagao, Konami and whichever player he wants to combo up with. And the fact that he has now been punished quite a lot by LNG really hits at the heart of what JDG want to do. This iteration of JDG, going back towards the pre-2023 JDG, when they brought Yagao back into the roster for this year, has been so much about, can Konami control that mid game? Can he be a big impact in team fights? By making sure that he has less agency, JDG feel a lot less powerful.
And the chunk onto Nautilus Masks. It's not a War Mags Nautilus. It's gone towards the Locket early on here to help against the Karthus. It's only at a Giant's Belt right now. It's not really in position to tank up some of that Culling, really, who is struggling with that one just that little bit. Dragon has been started, interestingly, by Zuko, who's hopping over the wall. I think we've got a fight coming up and needs to keep an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, so big things to keep an eye on. Can LNG find themselves Gnar on a flank? Can they find themselves a way to get Jhin a good pick at the start of the fight too? Those are the things we want to be paying attention to. Soul not on the table. It's the sole point for JDG. Baron being rushed. Now JDG, they have missing on a flank, but he's also on vision.
Trying to find something. Solar flared out. Baron should be secured, right? Got a little bit dicey there as it was a little late on the smite, but managed to make it happen regardless. Sheer now having to back away. The Karthus ultimate comes flying on through. The Requiem is there and a curtain call afterwards, as this is a song that Swans will be singing. You begin to wonder as Sheer, wondering about the sheer audacity of standing where he was. The bullet time comes on through, but it is just a 21-gun salute to the fall of the top laner.
Yeah, so even though Weiwei is kind of contested a little bit on the smite, it's not by Konami. Konami was the slowest person there, so there was no smite steal. LNG, they walk away with the extra kills. They get 2 of them. They get themselves the Baron. And when you die against the Baron, it means you have less people to defend the ensuing Baron push. JDG, they have misplayed around LNG's Barons both times now. By overcommitting to the Dragon the first time, by overcommitting to the fight in the second time, losing the kills. LNG sweeping through the base, breaking things open, speeding the game up. They're out of the turtle shell.
A wall of pain was nearly very scary. You can see what Zuko was looking for. Can't quite get close enough for a Mega Gnar of any value. And still the cleanse up on Ruler, so not necessarily a guaranteed kill or anything. The hook lands onto Hung, but he is tanky enough at this point with the Eclipse running to be just about fine. The slow start to come on through, but JDG will not force any harder.
Yeah, not for now. So, JDG, they have lost so much the last two Barons. I think LNG, they're really showcasing their understanding of how to use just pushing lanes. This team is really good at understanding how to use pushing lanes and to play out the map. LNG's macro is some of the very best in the LPL right now, and I think there is a misconception or like a bit of a hangover from LNG where they're a slow-paced team that don't force plays. They make the right play in the moment, and if that is one which happens in a short amount of time, they'll do it. If it's not, then they won't. This is the kind of team which do play things by the book, and right here, it is the right play. Let them go towards the Dragon. Get the Baron for free. You have the way better ability to play out these team fights, especially if JDG have to rush to your side of the map. Very, very hard for them to get into position to actually threaten you. And now with a huge gold lead, JDG have been left to the wolves. Hung now caught out.
I think he might just be dead here. Takes a little while to go down. Flashes away. Does get a bit of CC before he goes down. That probably leaves Missing out to dry as the second shot, never even a fourth shot, removes the Nautilus from the face of the rift.
Yeah, that's 4 M's on the Jhin. Now, I said, Jhin is not very good into playing into hypertext. Yeah, when you've got the Merc Treads, it's not that way. We're flashing forwards.
Oh my days, Way looking for some serious damage. It goes down for that, but Scout looking for the kill. Will kill off the side of your guy. I was going to say Yukai because I'm still used to that one being played for the rest of the earlier series. But Zucker will hop on for a kill off Kanavi too. And Way trades his life for 2 additional kills.
Zucker has Maganar. He's using most of his HP bar as well. Has the Sterex, can use that whenever he wants. Dragon. Dragons don't matter now for JDG. They took so many of them, but they have not managed to defend their base or defend these turrets.
Lose an inhibitor turret, and over we go towards that Nexus turret. So we go over to the inhibitor turrets as mid one falls. Gala and Scout swiftly delete the inhibitor afterwards. Azuka chunking out that last remaining inhibitor turret, and it just goes down. A last inhibitor, a last Nexus turret remains between LNG and a by-the-books tutorial-style victory.
Now this is 3 inhibs down. Still dead, Yugao. Still dead is Kanavi. They're up in 10 seconds. I don't know if it's going to be the end of the game because they will still have a full 5 cohort. Weiwei's back up though, and he can just pull out the Card Assault. He is alive again. Card Assault coming up now.
There's the Meganar into the wall. Shears in danger, stays alive for now. The footwork shield is massive, but my lord, the AP value is huge. Down goes Kanavi, missing just about alive for a second or two longer. But it means absolutely nothing as LNG find a fight in mid lane that turns everything around in this game. They delete JDG from the Rift.
If you were wondering whether the loss to FPX was a bit of a blip in the schedule for them, I think we've got a little bit of an answer to it. LNG, fantastic play around the overextensions, fantastic play in general against JDG as they go 1-0 up. LNG, if they do end up winning this series, they will have confidently beaten top esports, BLG, and then also with JDG. What an incredible return to form for an organization that reached summer finals in that last year. They brought the super team of JDG to 5 games in 2023 summer finals. We could be getting to that kind of moment again.